Hi YouTubers, it's Fortune Cookie 45 LC, and we did a previous video on this scope mount. It's the RWS lockdown scope mount, and this is actually the other side of the mount. You see how smooth it is and how there's no interference with working the bolt handle because there's nothing protruding from the mount on this side. It's a very nice looking mount, high quality, and the rings are integral with the mount. So when you put the scope on here, this is a very secure mounting of the scope to the mount, and the mount has a very secure mounting to the rifle. We won't go into that too much. This review is on the rifle. What we have here is a Marlin model 795 22 long rifle, 10-shot clip-fed semi-automatic rifle. And the advantage of this rifle is that it's short, it's light. Even with the scope and mount on there, it's about 5 pounds, certainly not much more. It's fast, very durable, synthetic stock, trigger is adequate, micro groove barrel, which is a very accurate barrel. This rifle will shoot 1-inch groups at 50 yards without any trouble. And with good ammo, it'll do even a little better. Very reasonably priced. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have very many aftermarket parts. It's not as modular as a Ruger 1022. But then again, this particular rifle doesn't need very many modifications. It doesn't need to be modular, because as it is, it's a very useful utilitarian rifle. Can be purchased from many outlets for anywhere around $170, $179 at most, before all the tax and add-ons, but still, that's a very good price. And again, it's so handy, so light and quick. It's hard to go to range and shoot less than 400 rounds. So be sure to get some extra magazines. Now, it's been said that you can put aperture sights on this, and they're available, and that the aperture sights will allow this rifle to perform as well as if it were scope mounted. But I would like to submit to you, YouTube watchers out there, that that's a function of the shooter. If the shooter has superior eyesight, the aperture sights will do very well. And certainly if a shooter has average eyesight, the aperture sights will do better than the open sights that come with the rifle. But if you give the same shooter a good scope, they'll do better. Case in point, this scope, unfortunately, is no longer being made. Now we'll take these scope covers off. These are called bikini scope covers. And no, it's not loaded. But that Valor scope is a very good scope. It has a big field of view, very clear optics, and because of the big field of view, you throw it up and your eye goes right to it, and you see the field and you find your target quickly, and it's sharp and it's clear, and the reticle is a crosshair and it's very fine and it's easy to see, and you draw down and you start tripping shots off. And I would contend that there are no iron sights that will beat this scope. Maybe a shooter could shoot as well with an aperture sight as with this scope, but you're not going to beat it. 4-power magnification, very clear, very sharp reticle, very large field of view. Unfortunately, the Valor scope isn't being made anymore, and it's too bad. But I would invite you YouTubers out there to do a search on the Valor scope and find out more about it if you'd like. I certainly feel very glad that I was fortunate enough to have this scope before they stopped being made. So YouTubers out there, this is a 22 that almost can be recommended for any individual, any family. And its brother model, the Model 60, which has the tubular magazine, that's also a very fine rifle. And you don't need to have removable box magazines for the tubular magazine model. But either rifle made by Marlin. And even though Marlin has had quality control issues with some of their lever actions, their Model 795 and Model 60s are still every bit as good as they've always been, at least up until this date. So they can be heartily recommended. Easily available. Although they're selling them as fast as they can make them. Thank you very much, YouTubers out there. This is a review of the Marlin 795, a rifle for anyone and everyone. Bye for now. Fortune Cookie 45 LC signing off.